Hi, my name is Tracy Cook, and this is the Visionary Women's Series. Join us for an enlightening conversation with a woman who is not just a leader in her field, but she is a game changer. She's blazing new trails and creating opportunities for others to follow. You won't want to miss the valuable insights and wisdom that Aisha Saintiche has to share with us today as a visionary woman. Welcome.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here.
Now, tell us a bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what brought you to be a visionary woman.
All right. So a little background. So I am a born and raised Montrealer. So I always have to say that because I cling deeply to my roots. I do live in Ontario now, but again, I am from Quebec. I'm a mom of three, a wife to an incredible partner, and I am a certified health coach. How I stepped into that space, honestly, was a little bit by accident. It more came from, again, people in my life that were like, Aisha, you're constantly giving advice. You're constantly promoting, the importance of mental health and wellness. And I just don't understand why you don't step into this space. And I thought, you know what? I might as well, right? This isn't just something that I do for work. It's a place of purpose. Like, when you just know there's something greater than you know that there is a power or a purpose that you have, that as a coach is something that I've always felt. And it took me a while to step into it. And I think where I hesitated was because, again, throughout the journey of my life, I've always been one who thought, okay, I'm going to wait for people to tell me when I'm ready to, be a leader. I'm going to wait for people to tell me when it's time to, step into my purpose. And a few pivotal moments in my life where I thought, someone was going to say, okay, Aisha, you're ready to take charge of this position or this project. And it didn't happen. And then I thought, why am I here waiting for people to tell me that I'm ready when I know I'm ready? And so that really began, I would say, I'm 43 now. So that probably happened before I turned 40. That was a year before I turned 40. And it was a really big moment in my life because it was at that time that I realized I need to stop waiting or placing greater value on other people's expectations or perceptions of me. That I needed to use my recognition of self to say, okay, Aisha, like it's time for you to do this. It's time for you to really step into your purpose and power. And that was the birth of health coaching, to be honest. It was just this kind of hit in my face that I thought, I need to stop waiting. I need to just do what I knew I was born to do. And part of that also is to create and curate those spaces for other women to recognize that they are great, that they don't need to wait for other people in their lives to say, like, it's your time, right? So that's my mission, that's my purpose, that's my vision. It's honestly how I operate in life, and I always want, when people are finished interacting with me, that they see themselves as purposeful and powerful people, that energy that I'm giving is one that they receive, that they then mobilize into their own change. That's where I'm at, and I'm grateful to be in this place right now.
I love how you're creating space for that as well. And sometimes, the people around us can see things in ourselves before we see things in us before we see it in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I think that's an important message that you shared as well about, especially to women, not waiting for someone's permission to kind of, step into your own power almost, and creating that space where you can grow and thrive. And people like you are leading the charge and giving women that space to be their better selves as well. Talk us a bit about when people come to you, what do they normally come to you, and how do you help them?
Yeah. So the interesting thing, when people see certified health coach, I think naturally their instinct is to think, okay, I'm a physical trainer. She's going to help me, lose weight. And I'm not a physical trainer. When I talk about certified health coach, I'm focusing more on the mental health aspect and the intersectionality. Of course, you bring in diversity, you bring in all those dimensions, and how those personal issues can really affect us thriving. And so what that looks like is, most of the time, women in particular will come to me and say, okay, everything in my life is going well. I just need to lose 15 to 20 pounds, Aisha. I really struggle to go to the gym. It's very physically driven. And there's a belief that if they lose this weight, that all other aspects of their life will be okay. And as a coach, right, it's not for me to say, this is not the truth. This is not what you need. My role as a coach is to help you with that inner chatter and dig deeper and really explore what the barriers are, because the weight can be a factor, but that's not the root cause, right? We all grew up knowing you're supposed to drink water, you're supposed to exercise, you're supposed to eat your fruits and vegetables. Like we all, no, we don't necessarily want to, but we know what we're supposed to do to take care of our physical health. But what we struggle with is kind of the mental health piece, those blockades, whether it's post-trauma, whether it's experiences that we're dealing with right now, work, relationships, children, partners, the list goes on. And so what I do is I actually have this kind of 90-day self-care boot camp that I call, because one of the things, again, where women struggle is putting themselves at the top of the list. So we will wait and wait and wait, to take care of ourselves in a lot, an hour for a massage after working an 8-hour week, because we think that that's going to change how we feel. And so my work as a coach is to shift them from the bottom of their list to the top of their list, recognizing that the way in which they want to parent and work and coach and live is from an optimal state of being. So I will always let them believe what it is that they believe they need to address. And it's through those sessions that we start to unpack what is the root cause of where their struggles are. And honestly, Tracy, 90% of the time after they finish with me, they're like, I can't believe I thought my issue was the weight. It was like all of these things, right? But walking them through, I sometimes refer to myself as like, I'm the inner chatter challenger, right? So that little voice we tell ourselves that everything's okay, that we're really not that stressed. I use what they say to me and I give it back to them so that they can hear it out loud. And they can say, I can't believe I tell myself these things. I can't believe I invalidate myself, or I think, I place myself so low, on the list. And so again, my role is really to act as their inner conduit, their inner chatter, and challenge the things that they say so that they start to change the narrative and value that they have for themselves. But it's probably the highlight of starting with a client and where they believe they need to be, and at the end where they're like, wow, like that was never the issue. And I'm like, again, but the beauty, right, of watching someone transition into that level of self-awareness and self-discovery and self-actualization, like it shows up in the way they start to talk, the way they sit, the way they dress, what they eat. Like it literally shows up from the inside out. And it's such a privilege on my end to watch a client's evolution into their own greatness.
I love how you took us on that journey, because there's a reason why we have to put our own oxygen mask on first and pour into ourselves, because we're not pouring into ourselves. How can we pour into others? How can we truly be who we're meant to be if we're not looking after ourselves? And self-love is not, and self-care is not selfish. And, it especially when we're generationally conditioned that, the husband and the house and the kids come first. Now there's this new evolution in the last 10 years that I've personally seen where women are like, hey, I'm taking some time out. I'm a bit stressed and, I need to do some work on myself. And we've got all these retreats and wonderful coaches like yourself that can actually help us. And I think it's remarkable that we can do this globally online as well. And I think we truly really need to leverage and utilize these services that people like yourself can provide in such a genuine, organic, safe space as well. And just, when you said what you have the privilege of seeing the evolution of them growing into themselves. Coaches, this is how coaches are. They want to be that mentor that sees your evolution, that sees that transformation. So you're just doing some remarkable things around that. Now take us to just a little bit of your story of how you came about, apart from your friends telling you. What is the biggest changes that you have made in your life, especially with 3 children and a wonderful partner, that you've seen as part of a result of you implementing your own strategies as well?
So the interesting thing is the way in which people or clients come to me was my actual journey. So as I mentioned, before I turned 40, I was 39. I was like, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds because in my head, I was going to have a big party. I basically wanted to come into the room like Beyonce. Like that was my whole vision. I wanted the wind. I wanted the dress. And so I went into this, like, again, I'm someone who physically trains quite a bit, but I really took it up a notch, started training, changing my eating, and things were physically changing. But what I wasn't ready for, Tracy, was the mental shift. So I went into this perspective of like, okay, well, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to feel great. And I did that. But what was unbeknownst to me was the actual mental change that happened. And it wasn't until people would come to me and say, Aisha, I don't like, yes, you look different, but they're like, there's something different about your persona. There's something different about the way you're carrying yourself, the way you're showing up in these spaces, that I didn't quite know what it was. And it wasn't until probably like a week before my birthday. And in all honesty, it sounds ridiculous, but I remember trying on my dress and I was like, yeah, I look good. But then I was like, this actually wasn't ever about the physical. It was always about me shedding a narrative that said, Aisha, you needed to be all of these things to be impactful and to be purposeful. And at that moment, I was like, I'm done. Right. Again, as a Black woman, I recognize, how people's perception of me. And I think I carried a lot of that as well. I had to be this way. I couldn't be too loud. I couldn't be too assertive. I couldn't be all of these things because of how I could possibly be perceived. But it wasn't until that moment, honestly, looking in the mirror, that I thought, I'm done. I'm done allowing others to dictate what success for me looked like. And I believe that someone's maximum view of you could actually be your minimum standard. So why would I allow someone else's perception of me to be my max? That could just be my starting point. And that very moment, and I actually had an incredible opportunity to write a book called She's Just Getting Started. And I tell that journey of just having that pivotal moment that happened in 2021. And it was a game changer, Tracy. So now, when I step into spaces, people might not know me, but they're like, what is this vibe? What is this aura? And it's one of just such a level of awareness of who I am. I have a tagline I love to say, unapologetically moi. I am who I am. You either love me or you don't, but I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay knowing that I'm for some and I'm not for everyone. But for those who I'm for, I am going to pour that same energy into you so that you are in a space of purpose and confidence. So it's interesting how I coach those that I experience that exact same thing, thinking that it was one aspect of my life that I needed to change, but immersing myself in my own journey that I was like, nope, that was never actually the issue.
I love that. You are so inspiring, and You're so real. You're so raw. You're so honest, and women really resonate with that. It's a new freshness, especially, to video and audio and just the world in general. We need more people like you. It has been absolutely wonderful. I love what you're doing as a visionary woman from 2023 up and above. What kind of message would you like to leave the audience on today as well?
Oh, so many messages. I think one of the most important is as you embark, on your own journey of self-discovery, self-actualization, self-care, self-love, make sure that what you're doing is rooted in like golden soil, right? So part of that is letting go of people, places, and things that really don't serve you, which is not always easy. But one of the things I find is people will try to create greatness on kind of tainted soil, and you can't. Do the work, right? Unpack, unlearn, undo, remove, so that what you are now building is based on richness, and everything that grows from that, everything that blooms is going to be beauty, is going to be you, is going to be powerful, it's going to be impactful. It's not a journey that we love, right? I mean, I think we all do a really great job of trying to make things not so great look pretty. But I believe me when I say, that process of undoing and unlearning and letting go is so important as an integral part of just, again, that self-actualization, self-awareness, self-discovery, self-love, and self-care.
I love that so much. Thank you very much for being a visionary woman. We'll be sharing where to connect with you. And my message today to our audience is, if you're sitting on the fence, if you're feeling as though you're meant for more, if you want a coach that creates a space for you to grow and evolve and transform and really step into your own true self, then look no further. Aisha is your woman, and she is leading the charge. And have an enlightening conversation with her, because she has insights and wisdom that many people are just holding on to, running with, and changing their world, their family's world, and creating movements of their own, just like Aisha is. Thank you very much today for being a visionary woman, and we will see you on our next episode.